Jacque Tarlton, welcome back to the Plant Trainers Podcast.
So happy to be here, Adam and Shoshana. Seriously, very excited. I love what you guys do, and I'm super excited to be back.
Well, we're really happy to have you. It's been a while, 261?
267, 261, something like that.
Something like that. So it's been a while. It's definitely been a while, and we would love to know today in this moment, what are you grateful for?
Oh, there's so many things I'm grateful for, but today I am grateful for my recovery, for living in Miami, even though it's sunny and not sunny, it's rainy and overcast today. I'm just super grateful to live in a walkable area and to be talking with you guys. So that's a lot I'm grateful for, but I got a lot of gratitude.
Good. It's good to have a lot of gratitude. And I think when you're somebody who practices gratitude, it's hard to just say one thing because it's just, I'm grateful for waking up today. I'm grateful for the chair that was just delivered, the pretty pink chair, all the things, right?
All the things.
All the things. All right. So we will link to your old show in the show notes if people want to really go back and hear a little bit more about your plant-based journey and all of that. Today, we really wanted to talk about, recovery. We wanted to talk about what's happening with alcoholism right now in North America and around the world. So why don't you give us a little bit of a quick recap about how you found plant-based mixed in with your own recovery story and how things really did change for you.
Wonderful. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I'm very, very passionate about it. And I was vegetarian when I went to college, and I was vegetarian for many, many years. And the dietitian that I trained under, because I'm a registered dietitian by training, but the registered dietitian that was my mentor, she was a vegan, and she was the one that introduced me to veganism. Plant-based was not even a term back then. Fast forward about 14, 15 years, I decided I was going to start eating meat again. I did that. I was on my whole journey. I was in medical sales. And around 2012, I was just so sick. I was so tired of feeling the way I was feeling. I was drinking a lot. I was entertaining a lot in the medical sales industry. And I would drink for literally every feeling I had. I got a huge bonus, I would have a big celebration. I got no bonus, I would drink because I was upset. Like, I would drink for literally every single emotion I felt. And for a while, alcohol was really working. Like, it made me feel better. It was a good escape tool. But then for probably the past 5, almost 10 years that I was drinking, it was not working anymore. I just kept feeling like crap. And finally, one of my girlfriends who lives in Tampa, she had been sober before, and then she was drinking again. And then she confided in me and said that she was thinking about getting sober again. And I'm like, if you do this, let me know, because I want to do it too. And literally May 15th, 2012 is when she called me and told me that she is quitting drinking. She's going to start working on her recovery. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I dove in head first, May 15th, 2012. May 14th, 2012 was my very last drink of alcohol. And it was from my work in recovery, figuring out who I was, because that was a thing. Like, I would drink over every single emotion. And I have been drinking since the age of like 12 or 13 years old. And I never really got to fully understand who Jacque was and what my true loves were. But as soon as I gave up drinking, I started seeing how miserable I was in the medical device world, in the pharmaceutical sales world. And I really wanted to go back to my roots, because when I was practicing as a registered dietitian, and even in college when I was studying nutrition and dietetics, I knew that our lifestyle factors, our exercise, the food that we eat, I knew these things played a big role, and we could literally reverse diseases from our lifestyle. Fast forward 30 years, now we've got lifestyle medicine board certifications for physicians, physician extenders, nurses, dietitians, coaches, everyone. It's a real thing. And as I started my work in recovery and really understanding who I was and what I wanted, I was researching what medical conferences were out there, and I found the International Plant-Based Nutrition and Healthcare Conference. I found the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and I started going to those conferences. And that's the very first time I heard the word plant-based. So I started eating more plant forward, where I was basically crowding out all of the meats and the more processed foods. And I was starting to eat more whole food, plant-based. And that's kind of how my whole evolution started. So me coming back to the plant-based world, me coming back to lifestyle medicine was all contingent upon me finding, like, quitting drinking, but not just quitting drinking. It was working on my emotional well-being, my mental health, and my recovery. And I really do. I'm so grateful for my recovery because it's brought me to where I am today. And I get to help other people overcome addiction and find their passion and purpose in life.
Just want to say thank you so much for sharing that with us, because I know not everybody can, and we're so proud of you. And you exhibit so much power in so many different ways, like everything you've done through businesses over the years, everything you've done in terms of your the shows like the bikini or the competitions that you did, but this is huge, and this is big. I'm trying to do math in my head. Is it 11 and a half years, something like that? Oh,
I will have 11 years in May, which is
11 years in May.
Yeah.
Right. 11 years in May. So when this comes out, I mean, we're around the corner from that. So that's huge. And, you know, there's a lot of power in that. And you've learned so much. I think the world has learned so much, but here we are in a place where there's so many resources out there about everything, but we still are buying cups for our girlfriends that say it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Mhm.
Right. And there's
Mommy juice.
right. And I think that it's okay that people have a drink, but it's not okay when it becomes a problem. So what do people need to be aware of here in terms of when is it okay and when is it becoming a problem?
And this is a very, very fine line. So there is more research that's been published and people are talking about it more, that they're showing that literally there's no amount of alcohol that's good for your health. And the health benefits are where alcohol starts to be deleterious for your health is after 2 drinks a week, not a day, 2 drinks a week. So if you're wanting to, like, if you're interested in health, then really there's no amount of alcohol that's good for you. But honestly, if you're a normie and you can drink without over consuming and blacking out like the way I used to drink, then I see there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to have a drink or two every once in a while, go for it. Like, have fun, enjoy your life. But it's a very fine line as to what is enough and what is too much. And this is also a personal call. So, like, if someone drank like I drank, where I was drinking a bottle or more, a bottle or 2 of wine every night, and I would pass out. I was a blackout drinker. Literally, only people who are alcoholics black out. Other people who don't have an alcohol use disorder, they don't black out. So that is not okay. And like one of my friends, she's working on her recovery and abstaining from alcohol because her mother was an alcoholic. She died from alcoholism. Her mother died from cirrhosis of the liver and multiple other things. And she doesn't want to go down that same path. So we all have different reasons as to why we're not going to drink, why we're choosing not to drink. And that's definitely a personal choice or a personal decision. But I will say 80% of the people with alcohol use disorder are now women over 50. Those are the new numbers, people that are being diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. And AUD is the clinical term for an alcoholic or someone with like an overconsumption problem. And some of this could be contributed to, like what you said, like women, we buy each other those wine glasses. It's 1 o'clock somewhere. Here's mommy juice. Let's all get together. Like we need to drink. We've been taking care of the kids all day. We're working. We're doing all these things. Like, we have women running companies and raising families. We have women doing everything. And Adam, not to leave out the men too, because men also, they're very, very prevalent in any kind of alcohol use disorder too. So this really does apply to everyone. But women specifically, like after the kids are raised, and you're not ever really fully done parenting, right? So once the college kids are out of high school, they're going to college, they're married, they're having kids, women could kind of like be lost. And we're so used to raising the children, being so like, like that was our purpose, is raising kids or working or whatever. And then those dynamics shift and change. And now we don't know how to cope with some of those things. So if you're listening and you're finding yourself drinking for a lot of different emotions, if you find yourself drinking yourself to sleep, if you find yourself drinking and you're still like, if it puts you in a worse mood, if it makes you sad, if you start crying a lot, these are some signs that this might be too much. Like you might want to start looking at your alcohol consumption. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to quit drinking, but I do think that the amount of alcohol consumed, I think people need to start becoming more aware of it, especially for the health reasons.
Many people are using alcohol as an escape. There's a lot of addictive things that people use to escape reality. And with the rise of mental health these days, it makes sense that people are looking for an escape, but there are better or different ways to really escape what's going on or what you're dealing with. And finding someone to support you and talk to you is always something that can help. But there is a rise in mental health. There's a rise of more people becoming aware that mental health is a crisis right now. And if you're listening, you need to get help. Reach out and talk to someone who cares, because somebody cares about you. So don't think you're alone in this.
What would be some of the
Definitely
steps?
not alone. This is something that's really, really, really huge. And I'm glad you brought that up, Adam. And like one of my physician friends, I was talking to her not too long ago, and I didn't realize it's like a big red flag on a physician's chart if they go and seek any kind of mental health work. And I had no idea. But finally, I think that's being looked at in physicians as well, like it being more acceptable and okay. And a lot of times, simply just finding a friend, a partner, anyone that you can talk to, that can help tremendously. So definitely finding someone that you can communicate with. But there are some mental health issues that a trained, licensed physician or therapist or coach, someone that you really might need to go a little bit like higher level. I don't know if that's the right word, but find someone else to talk to as well. But always having your like core crew, like some really good friends or spouse, partner, whatever. Like it's really, really important that you do have a couple people that you can lean into. And kind of adding on to what you said as well, when we all have stuff that we're going through, life gets lifey. And like one of the things I always talk about, I'm doing this no sugar challenge right now. And I talked about HALT, and HALT is something that I learned in recovery. Before eating, ask yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? HLT, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. The only time we should be eating is if we're hungry, but people eat for all these different emotions. And it can go to the same thing for taking drugs that are not taken as prescribed, drinking alcohol like in excess. Instead of turning to alcohol for like to celebrate or when you're angry, like what's something else you could do when you're upset? Calling a friend, taking a boxing class because boxing is aggressive, or taking like a really intense, like a HIIT kind of workout to get out some of those feelings. We really need to deal with feelings in a different way, in a healthier manner, versus always turning to food. And usually when we turn to food, it's like that crap, the calorie rich and processed kind of food. So instead of turning to food or the drink or the drug, let's look at some healthier options that we can do instead of those unhealthier options.
I think it's really important to make that connection where some people are using alcohol to escape, but some people are using food to escape, and both come with health issues, right? Both can be extremely damaging for your health or even take your life. But with alcoholism, people are getting behind the wheel, or people are making decisions in the moment where they're inebriated, right? Or there's a lot more damage that can be done to themselves and to the people around them with the alcoholism. So whether it's alcoholism or whether it's binge eating or overeating or what have you, yes, doing HIIT workouts, how else can people channel those addictive personalities into good habits?
So first of all, the very first thing we have to do is we have to become aware of what that addiction is or that trait is that we want to start changing. And then once we become aware, we can start recognizing when it does pop up. So I can use me as an example with alcohol. Like literally every single night I would drink. Some nights I was super happy. Some nights I was bored. Some nights I was pissed. Like I had every single emotion, but every single night, regardless of that emotion, I would drink alcohol, copious amounts of alcohol. So I had to start recognizing what I was doing, and then I could start making changes. So what are some things that I could do in the evening instead of drinking? I can call a friend, I can watch a movie, I can go to a meeting, I can work out, I can get some work done, I can read a book, like the list goes on and on, right? So we have to first recognize what we're doing and then become aware and start changing habits, like doing something different. And it's basically, have you guys read Atomic Habits?
It's on my list to read. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. But it's almost like that. Like we have to start creating new, healthier habits. This no sugar challenge I'm doing, finding new foods to eat, like finding new ways to cook and making some sweet treats that don't include sugar, like finding different recipes, finding different activities, just like I would do with not drinking. I would have to do like create an evening routine, because for me, it was drinking late at night or drinking in the evening, and then sugar too. I would tend to eat more sugar in the evening. During the day, I'm usually good, but there are people who might drink all day. And if that's another sign. Like if you're drinking from the time you wake up and until you go to bed in the evening, that is not normal. That is not normal at all. So this is an indication that you might want to look at yourself, or if you know someone who's drinking like that, then I would recommend that you have a sit down and talk with that loved one and say, listen, I'm really concerned about you. And I think we need to talk about the amount that you're drinking. So having those conversations with loved ones are really important. Or if you yourself are noticing that you're having a problem with drinking too much, or you think you're drinking too much, my DMs are always open. Literally, you can always reach out to me anytime. I'm super, super passionate about recovery and helping anyone who's willing to start working on themselves. Would love to talk to you. So you can send me a DM or sit down and talk to someone that you love and trust and let them know that you're concerned. You're concerned that you're drinking too much and you want some help.
Did somebody try to talk to you?
No, interestingly enough. So this is the thing. When I was drinking all the time, I was traveling a lot. So I was drinking around different people and different work people. So they didn't see that I was doing this every single night. I do remember, excuse me, my husband saying one time or a couple times, he's like, I just wish you could drink like a normal person. And I'm a Gemini. And he would be like, which Jackie am I going to get tonight? Am I going to get fun Jackie or am I going to get falling down drunk Jackie? And I would laugh it off, but I seriously was like, God, I don't know, but please, I hope it is fun Jackie, because I never knew which version of me was going to show up. And I had some friends who they were like, you're not going to drink anymore. So I had friends that were actually shocked that I was like no longer drinking, that I'm now sober. I've had some friends that were like, good. And then my husband, super, super supportive. But before I went into recovery, he was like, I wish you could drink like a normal person. I did too.
Well, I'm glad that I'm really glad that your friend came to you just the way that she did, right? I guess it will be a little bit different for every person. Is it still a struggle?
Not at all. Now, I have to say that, I mean, I've been doing this thing for almost 11 years. May will be 11 years. And literally from the very first time, like May 15th, 2012, where I said I wasn't going to drink anymore, I've been so focused on not drinking And it really has been pretty smooth sailing. And this is not to say that I've had some really, really challenging times. My stepfather had a massive stroke. He ended up dying 6 years later. My brother was diagnosed with an ultra rare disease. He has been at almost the end of life multiple times. We've had some really stressful things happen in my family. My husband and I have been to the brink of divorce. We've thankfully have worked through it. He's one of my biggest supporters. And I've been through a lot of not fun things, but I know that there's no amount of alcohol that would make this better. It might, maybe, and I don't even see it making it better for even a split second, because eventually, if I would have a drink, it would make it worse, not only at that time, but later, because then I have the guilt, the shame, I've got all this stuff going through my head. And no, it's just not worth it for me. I've had enough. I can't go back to that way of drinking. But with that being said, I do know people who have been sober for multiple years and they still struggle. So everyone is so different. But I do think it's really important, the connections, the amount of love and support that you have around you is really important. And a lot of times when people quit drinking, they feel like they can't go out with the same people they used to be with. They feel like they're no fun. I still have all of my same friends, and I still go. And actually, that shows me that I was the only one that was drinking so much. I always thought that everyone drank like I did, but apparently they didn't. But I still have all the same friends, and they're all super supportive. I went to the Super Bowl. I flew to a Super Bowl with the team that was in the Super Bowl, because my girlfriend's husband coached for that team at the time. I flew there. I was sober for the entire Super Bowl. I've been sober for some of the biggest, most amazing parties, and it's been so much fun. And the beautiful part is I remember everything, because I used to not remember anything.
Wow.
It must be such a challenge to go through the alcoholism and then going through the recovery. Congratulations on doing that, and really appreciate you sharing your story and how you've progressed and gotten through it. So many people struggle with the disease and are going through recovery, and always finding support is super important, like you mentioned. And of course, you mentioned that if people wanted to reach out to you, you're available in your DMs. So why don't you share where people can get in touch with you so we can put that in our show notes.
Perfect. My Instagram is the best way, at Jacque Tarlton, and I spell my name a little bit differently, at JAC, excuse me, QUETARLTON. And I also offer a monthly nutrition and well-being group coaching class. So it's the first Monday of every month, 6 p.m. Eastern. And as it gets more popular, not more popular, the more filled, then I'll start coming out with new days and times. But it's all about well-being and recovery and eating, because one of the things that I found in recovery is people stop drinking. They start wanting to become healthier, not just mentally and overcoming their addiction and really thriving in life, but now they also want to get healthier overall in life. So nutrition and well-being, exercise, sleep, all of that is super important. So I've got a monthly group coaching offering as well.
Do you have something specific that's only for recovery as well, or have you combined it all to be holistic?
That one, the one on Monday nights, is for people in recovery specifically in recovery. I do one-on-one coaching for just overall health and well-being. And then I also can do one-on-one sober coaching. But there's so many free options available out there for sober support as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacque, for sharing. We'll link to everything in the show notes at planttrainers.com. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you again so much for having me. And it was so good to see you both.
You too. Thanks so much.